we've finally got a quiet evening here in Texas, and the only thing to really look at in the sky now is contrails. And this gives us a little bit of weather information. We know that up at that flight level, which is about 31 to 35,000 feet, relative humidities are running close to about 60 or 70%. And when the humidity goes even higher than that, then we're talking even higher relative humidities. So maybe we can take a look at a sounding and see what that looks like. I think we're going to have to pick Del Rio since we don't have any sounding coverage here in Texas. But there we go. There's Del Rio. And we can see relative humidities there. That's going to be close to about 60 or 70%, enough for maybe a little bit of cirrostratus, maybe based at about 29,000. And this indicates we either have a polar front jet or a subtropical jet in the area. So already we're starting to build up our picture of what's happening across the southern U.S. Okay, give me just a second here. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, a lot of times when I do that, I'm having to grab some mouth spray so I don't start drying out early before we get to the end of the broadcast. But there we go. We can see we've got a long wave trough across the western U.S. But we also have a ridge in place, and you may not see that at first. You can see some trace of that up in Manitoba, but it's being cut right through the middle by this cutoff low moving through the central U.S. So that's kind of flattening out the ridge and taking away from it. And if that low continues kicking eastward, then we'll end up on the other side and start deepening the trough along the east coast. So looking at this, I think we've probably got a split polar front jet flow. So there's some 50 or 60 knot winds up at 500 millibars. And we'll check out the satellite picture, and we can see that upper level low spinning right there over Missouri. And we know that that's starting to evolve into an occlusion and getting cut off from the supply of low-level warm air and tropical moisture. So this is probably a good time to start looking at the surface chart. So this is the picture we have across Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia this evening. So what kind of air mass changes do we have across this picture? Looks maybe a little bit warmer out east, but the dew points are not up there as high as we should normally be seeing when we're getting into April. See, we've got dew points here in the lower 50s. That's a little bit on the dry side for the southeastern U.S. But only when we go south of this area here onto the Gulf Coast, then we start picking up some low 60s, low and mid 60s there. But even in Florida itself, you can see moisture deficits right here, 50s. So we're probably getting some recirculated polar air coming from maybe off the Carolina coast there. Isodrosotherms, we're going to be seeing the better dew points, maybe concentrated in this area here. But up in Georgia, looks like we've got problems up there. And then as far as fronts, well, we don't have very much of a cold front. It is a little bit cool on the backside, but I mean, we've got 62 right there, 60 here, but there's also a lot of 70s mixed in. So not very much of an air mass contrast back here. And so we're seeing the cold front here kind of on the weak side as it moves through Alabama. The thickness patterns kind of reflect that, and you see kind of a weak thermal contrast between Georgia and Florida and Oklahoma and Arkansas. So only one little thickness line in between there. So this is kind of a sign overall of the whole system starting to kind of fall apart. And I think from yesterday we remember that the warm front was pretty far north up in this area. So we're probably looking at a pattern kind of like that, and this low in Missouri is starting to kind of decouple. Further out west, it does look like we have a little bit of a frontal gradient back in here. So that's probably our next system working its way across the Rockies. We didn't get a good look at that yesterday because we had the action here in Texas and Arkansas to look at. But this is the next system on its way, and it will be in the Kansas-Oklahoma area tomorrow evening. And then here's the next system starting to line up here off the Washington coast. Okay, let's take a look at the dynamics. Let me get the map centered here. Okay, so this is this evening's chart. So we can see that one system going through Missouri, and here's the next wave taking aim on Oklahoma and Kansas. And I think the moisture is going to be a little bit on the weak side in advance of that wave. We can see out across Texas, lots of 40s dew points. And we don't pick up the higher dew points till we get down on the coast, down in this area. So I'm not too sure the moisture is going to be in phase with that next system coming through Oklahoma tomorrow. Okay, over the next couple of days, here's that system going through Kansas and Oklahoma tomorrow evening. In fact, there's the 0Z chart right there. So that'll affect mostly Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, and then move eastward into the Ohio River Valley area. Here comes the next wave. This next one is deepening pretty significantly, and it's even shearing off into a closed low. This is around Wednesday or Thursday. And that's going to drift across Texas. We should certainly see rain chances go up with that. And then here comes the next wave. This is for the first or second. This will start impacting Texas and Oklahoma by about the second. Then after that, kind of a ridge building in across the area, so high pressure across Texas for the 6th. And I know that that's high pressure at the surface because upper level ridge is here. The upper level trough is in this region, and in between, this is an area of anticyclogenesis. So probably a good period of weather here around the 6th. Okay, this is probably a good time to take a look at some of the 850 and 700 millibar patterns, and we'll focus on the southeast U.S. here. So there's tonight's patterns, and we can see there's probably just enough of a thermal gradient at 850 to support a front in this area here. So I can see between Houston, we have 15 here, 3 in Tulsa. That's a definite air mass contrast there. So this is probably the back end of that system, the 850 front like that, and then the actual warm front well up north like that. And then the occlusion wrapping back into the system, something like that. And then if we go up to 700, we should see a reflection of that also. And I say we should. I don't see much of a pattern. In fact, it looks like maybe a lot of cold air has spread out over this portion of the air mass right in here. So it's a little bit indeterminate in here, and I'd say maybe the 700 front is kind of pushed out over this area. But I'm just taking a stab in the dark. And back over Missouri, there's the cold core. You can see the colder temperatures up there at 500. I'm sorry, at 700, and then at 500. Let's see if we can pick out that cold core low there. Yep, minus 20 right there around Columbia. So with that colder upper level air mass, I think we should manage to support a few showers back there. Let's check on the maps and see if anything did get going in Missouri. So there's Missouri underneath the cold core low, and you can see a few showers in here. And these are probably some really pretty photogenic towers in this area, and that'll quickly shut down overnight. Okay, I guess I will take a quick look at the chat here, and let me get the GFS run set up here. And let's see, we got Fred here, and Mark and David, and Kevin, and let's see, Michael Burrell, Ron Chalfant, Alexi, Sarah, Ryan, and Jason Boggs. Thinking Ardmore and Gainesville may be under the gun tomorrow. Yeah, we definitely need to check out and see if we have the moisture to support tomorrow's activity. Grant Leahy is checking in, and Mark Denley. And I don't know if I mentioned you, Ryan, but Ryan is here saying fuel, energy, ingredients coming together. Mick or Mike Denley, Adam Davis, and Ryan says last evening after the wetcast, the storm system really heated up with more rotations and vorticity signatures on the radar. And yeah, I think we were talking about the Marshall, Texas storm in that case. Okay, this is the southeastern U.S., and this is just a quick look at what we're expecting with the storms down in this region, and it looks like they are going to weaken during the overnight hours. They'll barely make it to Atlanta, according to the high-resolution rapid refresh, and they'll be gone by dawn. Then let's take a look at the moisture in Texas and Oklahoma. Okay, so we're still on the 23Z HRRR, but it's got the moisture starting to surge northward during the overnight hours. Then by 12Z, it looks like we got 60s dew points coming up towards Brownwood and Stephenville and Brady out in that area. So yeah, it's going for a little bit of a return, moisture return right in this area. Maybe a bit of a low-level jet setting up overnight. But it does look like, you can see by 17Z, we're just barely starting to get 60s up to the Red River. So it is going to be a close one whether we're going to have the moisture in place by tomorrow night. Because as we get the heating going on, the moisture advection is fighting a battle with surface heating, which is mixing out the moisture and removing it. So maybe we'll switch over to the NAM and see what that's going for. High resolution and NAM, there we go. So we're going to look at the NEM's outlook for tomorrow. There's 12Z. There's 15 and 18Z, so very similar picture here with the NEM. And this is bringing the moisture up into the area just west of Oklahoma City, around Chickasha to Watauga and up to Alva. And you can see right here at 21Z, we get this one little blob of 60, and then not much progress with that. So this area here stuck with a lot of 50s dew points. But we can still get convection with that, and let's check out what it's going with for initiation tomorrow evening. Okay, there's 18Z right there, breaking out probably some elevated convection, elevated convection in this area. You can see how quickly it moves off. And then 21Z and 0Z is when we should start seeing surface-based activity, and not seeing very much of that, just up here around the Alva area, Woodward and Gage. Yeah, it's focusing mostly on the Alva area right here. So I think if we're going to model cast with the NEM, probably the upslope flow north of that low pressure area is what's going to be critical. So let me bring that back and show you that real quick. So you see that upslope right there north of the front. So it's focusing on the best chances up in that area. But anyway, we will keep tabs on that, and if it looks like we're going to get any significant storms up that way, we'll either start early or run some radar specials during the evening. Okay, then just a quick look to close things out. Here's the GFS. Okay, there's tomorrow night right there. You can see that quickly moves on off to the east and looks like some nocturnal convection over eastern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas. That moves eastward a little bit. And kind of dissipates, kind of breaks up a little bit overnight into Monday there. Some of it moves into the Indiana, Illinois area showers later on Monday, and then we're looking at the next system coming in from the west, and it looks like a little bit more upslope going on here, maybe some cooler air. I mean, this has got the look of cooler air being wrapped in. So I'm thinking maybe this outgoing system is pulling down some cold air maybe, and then pushing that up in that area, so cooler and drier, I think. But we can see the Gulf starting to open up here. Let's see, this is around Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, I guess we're probably going to get some tropical air moving up into that region. Maybe a bit of a warm front possibly in this area here. Okay, so that'll move eastward on Wednesday and Thursday into the southeastern U.S. Another chance of severe out in that area. We can see some colder air coming around the backside of that system right there on Friday. And then more development out in West Texas right here. But again, looks like probably some cooler and drier air coming in from that ridge out to West Texas. Okay, then I think we're getting to the end of that. Yeah, it's going for kind of an East Coast system on the 4th, then a period of quiet weather here. And then we get a front sweeping south on the 10th, and this is getting to the end of that GFS run. So anyway, I think that's about all I got for tonight. I'll take one last look at the chat here. See, we got Dwayne Ward checking in late here from Maryland, watching some mid-level clouds there. Sue M from rainy Indiana, cold in Vermont. And that site with the dew points and wind barbs, that's pivotalweather.com, so you can head there and check out their model charts. Okay, well, have a good evening, everybody, and I think we'll see you tomorrow. If not, I'll try to post something on Twitter. Thanks and good evening.